The floor to Rep. Eskamani.
Representative Eskamani, you are recognized.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Members, I grew up in Orlando. And when you grow up in Orlando, Disney is always a big part of your life. And in fact, my dad took a part-time job at Disney to support his family of 3 when my mom had cancer because we were struggling to pay the bills. And it was actually the only reason why I even got to go to Disney as a kid was because he had comp tickets from being a part-time employee there. And so my family has a connection to Disney, but we actually never could even afford to go to the theme parks, which is why as I got older and grew up into an advocate, I've always been critical of big corporations, including the most magical place on earth. Because I agree, Madam Speaker, that we should ensure that there's an even playing field, that no one's given a competitive advantage, and that we need to be proactive in ensuring that big corporations are not able to choose winners and losers, to quote rhetoric my conservative colleagues often like to use. Which is why I have filed in the past many bills to repeal and to close loopholes that big corporations have exploited. And let's be clear, it's not just Walt Disney World. Universal Studios has tax breaks too. Every big business has tax breaks. They use subsidiaries to hide their revenue to ensure that we, everyday working people, pay more of our annual income to taxes than many of these large corporations. So I 100% agree and empathize and support the effort to ensure that there is corporate accountability and an even playing field for our small businesses. But that is not what this is. And I'm very unique as a member of this legislature because I've never taken a penny from Walt Disney World. I never asked them for support because I operate free of that influence, which is why me rising up today can feel a little ironic because I can't say that I'm allies with really a lot of the actors who have been around this. But the one ally I will say I am with is the LGBTQ plus community. The other ally is the First Amendment rights of our fellow Americans. And I cannot stand to watch government be weaponized to cancel a corporation because you don't like what they said, because you find offense to their positions. You don't like the fact that they support LGBTQ plus people or that they have LGBTQ plus stories in their media. That is what offended the governor, to the point, members, where people protested outside Disney with signs that said groomer. And there's now rhetoric online with the Disney logo being depicted with the word groomer, which is not something we should ever make a joke out of, but unfortunately, that's now a thing here in Florida. This is the ending to a chapter, but it's not where things stop, it is where things start. I asked a question about what is the indication of this bill impacting First Amendment rights, and it's not explicitly in the bill, but it is implicitly in the bill, because what we are saying to businesses and individuals across the state is that if you don't purport to the majority party's positions, that you will be in trouble, that we will go after you. And Disney's not the only company to feel that wrath. And that is not American. We're supposed to embrace debate just like we do on this House floor, where we listen to one another, we pull good ideas from one another, we try to figure out what is the solution where every person can win. And as someone who represents Orange County, I've not gotten one message in support of this bill. In fact, I've heard from Disney cast members and Reedy Creek employees who are frustrated, upset, and scared, who understand opportunities of reform, but see this as a hostile power grab. And I have to agree, Madam Speaker, because we've seen it already happen before. Just last week at New College of Florida, within a time span of several hours, you have a board of trustees completely flipped, a president fired, a former member of this chamber, the new president, and a general counsel hired from the next door chamber. That is my fear with this 5-member board. My fear is that we're creating an environment where contracts get diverted to political friends, and candidly, where First Amendment rights are suppressed, not just of what happens at the theme parks with taxes and those type of perks, but what if Disney decides to do a movie that features a trans kid? Is DeSantis going to try to cancel that and wield his board to censor Disney's media arm? Again, members, this is not where the chapter stops. This is where it starts. And so I encourage you to think about our constitutional First Amendment rights And if you took a stance against cancel culture in the past, realize that this is cancel culture. And so join me in saying no to that type of authoritarian, Darth Vader-like grip. And let's create an environment where people can express themselves and we can have free debate and companies can also operate without a state arm. The way I've described this to folks who've asked me is we're creating a low security prison where Disney can operate within, but if they do something against what leaders want, they're punished. And no business should operate in that environment. And I made this point in committee yesterday, but I can't think of any other district where the state oversight comes down on a corporation, but I can't think of communist countries who do that, who take over the businesses, practices, and dictate what you can and cannot do, how you can raise money, how you can't raise money. And so I will never debate the need for reform. I've offered an amendment to reform it, but this is not it. And if you vote yes on this bill, you're solving at least one big problem we have, which is the debt not coming down to our constituents. So I appreciate the reversal on that decision. But you're creating a whole other stream of problems that are unconstitutional and that directly assault our First Amendment rights. So please join me in voting no against this bill. Thank you, Madam Speaker.